Now, having mentioned this essay test, let me tell you the sort of essay test strategy that we're recommending now. And it's far from ideal, but it is connected with thinking of the test in relationship to the classroom. What we're doing is developing an essay test. We have developed an essay test in which where it is, the place administering the test would choose the essay, and where we're encouraging them to choose an essay which would be relevant to the thinking you want your students to be good at doing. And so if we use the essay test with a nursing program, we focus on a clinical case. If it was being used in a politics department, we would have them choose maybe a political essay from Time magazine or some other source where they would say, if the students are good at reasoning about this essay, then that's going to really help them in terms of learning what we're trying to learn. But now as soon as you do that and you say you can vary the essay, then you can't compare the scores from one context to another. So it's good from a pedagogical point of view, but it doesn't really enable you to make generalizations across other people who are conducting the test using other essays as the basis. Secondly, what we're doing is we develop instructions for the students and would encourage the students to be prepared for the test. And let me read sample instructions from this ICAT critical thinking essay test. You are to carefully read the editorial provided, taking whatever notes you want, and organizing your own thinking in whatever way you want in preparation for writing. Once you feel prepared, you are to develop an essay of your own on the topic in which you, 1, summarize the reasoning in the editorial, commenting on the strengths and weaknesses of the reasoning, with special attention to the 8 categories summarized below. Then 2, spell out your own reasoning on the issue, explaining what you're basing your own position on. Your overall task then is twofold. 1, to demonstrate that you have a sound and insightful understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of the reasoning in the editorial you are critically evaluating. And 2, to clearly explain and support your own reasoning on the issue raised by the editorial. In other words, as a result of your reading your essay, we should have a clearer sense of where you stand on the issue, as well as a clearer sense of the strengths and weaknesses of the original essay. 8 categories to be assessed. Your essay will be judged for its clarity, relevance, coherence, logic, depth, consistency, and fairness. More specifically, the reader, the evaluator, will be asking the following questions with respect to your essay. Is your question at issue well stated? Is it clear and unbiased? Does the expression of the question do justice to the complexity of the matter at issue? 2, do you cite relevant evidence, experiences, and/or information essential to the issue? 3, do you clarify key concepts when necessary? 4, do you show a sensitivity to what you're assuming or taking for granted, insofar as those assumptions might reasonably be questioned? 5, do you develop a definite line of reasoning, explaining well how you are arriving at your conclusions? 6, is your reasoning well supported? 7, do you show a sensitivity to alternative points of view or lines of reasoning? Do you consider and respond to objections framed from other points of view? Now, the idea would be that these directions would be given to students much in advance, and they would be encouraged to prepare for this much in advance. And this would also go to the professors who are going to know that their students are going to be assessed using this. And the idea then is teach to the test by all means. Teach your subject in such a way that the students are prepared to do this, and the students study your subjects such that you are beginning to learn how to do these kinds of things. Now, there is another part of this strategy. In order to use the test, we are asking that the faculty be certified to evaluate the test, and we have instructions for the faculty And what we're recommending is a professional development day focused on critical thinking and the assessment of the test. This means that you're going to deal directly with the concept of critical thinking with the faculty. You're going to go through the assessment of this test and why it is assessed. You'll give them some practice in doing it. And then hopefully you will be getting at this point of, is the faculty clear? You won't simply pass them out a sheet of paper or here's the test that's going to be given. And you will encourage them to use what they've learned in this professional development day to rethink their courses. So that what we're thinking of is the test strategy integrated into professional development and contextualized for subjects, departments, and so forth. So this is the basic idea behind the critical thinking essay test. And again, I think if you go back to the original context that we started out with, all testing must be contextualized and put in a broader framework of assessment strategy. And unless all of the parts are considered in relationship to the others, you're likely to be doing things that really are having little or no effect on the learning of the students. Where you might be getting test scores and you file them away and nobody looks at them and nothing is done about it. So yeah, you're doing critical thinking testing and it's having no effect. Or students are taking a critical thinking test and at the end of it they have no more knowledge of what it was that they were tested on. They just know they gave answers to the questions. And usually these, the sort of nationally normed tests would almost discourage you from going over what the test is going to be like, because I think they would think that that might affect the norming of the test or would make the test less valid. But our concern shouldn't be, you know, if we're concerned with learning, our test shouldn't be, you know, is this nationally normed and valid in the sense of are the results going to be comparable, but are students learning what we want them to learn? And are we doing something about the problem of faculty who don't understand critical thinking? Do we have an overall strategy that has as its ultimate purpose the improvement of instruction and learning? Or is our test strategy based on sort of a more narrow point of view? So let me stop at this point and encourage you to pass your questions forward to the first row and or to raise a question orally, and let's see what discussion these thoughts generate.